What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. That's right. It's Tuesday, the first day of the week. Hope you had a great Labor Day weekend. We'd love to hear what you did on Labor Day weekend. Throw in the comments there when you get a chance. We'd love to hear who had the barbecue, who had the best burgers out there. Either way, hope you enjoyed your 3-day weekend, and welcome to Standing Out, a show about sales, marketing, and leadership. I'm Trey Griggs, your host. And I want to make sure we give a couple of shout outs before we get things started. First of all, check us out at betaconsultinggroup.com and see how we are helping companies tell their story through messaging and customer testimonial videos. It's all about getting the messaging right. Check us out at betaconsultinggroup.com. Click on the button there that says schedule a meeting with yours truly. Tell us your story, and we would love to help you write yours. Also, want to give a shout out to our title sponsor, SPI Logistics, for making this possible. Listen, if you're a freight broker or if you're an agent or thinking about becoming an agent, make sure you check these guys out at success.spi3pl.com. They have the back office, admin, finance, IT, sales, technology that you need to succeed, to truly thrive. Again, if you're just tired of all that admin work as a freight broker and want to just stay in your sweet spot, check out the good guys over at SPI Logistics, success.spi3pl.com. Also, while you're out there on the internet, check us out on social media. You can follow me at TreyGriggs24 or look us up at betaconsultinggroup.com. Getting close to 1,000 users or 1,000 followers now on LinkedIn. So that's exciting. A lot of good things coming up on the way. All right, we have a phenomenal guest today, and I'm just going to start the intro song because I got to start this for this guy because this is a good one we got coming in today. Coming to us all the way from the Boston area, doing some great things in the transportation industry, specifically around technology and whatnot. Please give it up for my good friend from Tive, the CEO and founder, Krenar Komoni. Oh my gosh, I almost blew the name. Krenar Komoni. What's up, my friend? How are you doing? There you are.
How
What's
you doing,
going on?
Trey? It's going
Good
great.
to see you. Good song. I almost said Steve because you're associated with Steve, who I've been talking to. Oh my gosh.
No worries.
It happens sometimes. Krenar, great walk-up song. Love this song. It's one of my favorites, shipping up to Boston. And you're in the area, so it's all good. And you've got a pretty interesting story. So let's just jump right in real quick. First of all, introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do over there at Tive.
Hi, Trey. Good seeing you. Hi, everybody. My name is Krenar Komoni, and I'm the CEO and founder here at Tive. What do we do here at Tive is we help companies all over the world understand where their shipments are in real time, everywhere.
Love it. We're going to talk more about
where they are in the world.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about that in just a minute, especially your story. What's up, Coleman? Thanks for watching the show, buddy. Good to see you. Before we do anything else, though, Krenar, we got to ask: are you a coffee drinker or a water drinker? Which one do you want? We're going to send you one of these to be on the show today. Which one do you want?
Coffee and
Coffee.
water.
There you go. All right. Well, which one do you want? You want the coffee mug or the water bottle?
I want coffee.
There you go. We're going to get you a coffee mug out for being on the show today. So we appreciate you taking the time to
dehydrate and then hydrate. Dehydrate and then hydrate. What a life.
Can I tell you a fun fact about myself?
Yes,
I have
please.
never actually had a cup of coffee. I've never had a cup of coffee.
Tea?
I drink hot.
Nope.
I drink some tea, only sweet tea usually. I drink hot chocolate. I'm like a kid. Just hot chocolate with whipped cream on top. That's really about all I go after. So
zero caffeine.
Well, some caffeine, but not in the form of coffee. That's for sure. Yeah, don't do that. I tend to have enough energy bouncing around all over the place without it, so don't need it. All right, let's get into your story because I know a fun fact about you, and that is you started Tive. It's kind of a family affair. You were watching your father-in-law who owns a trucking company. Does he still own the trucking company now, or?
Honestly, he doesn't. It just actually
okay.
I'll just be straightforward on this one. He doesn't for just been a month ago. So
oh, wow.
A month ago,
okay.
he's retired and he actually closed down the trucking company.
Well, congrats to him on retirement. Hopefully that was a great thing. But you watched him having trouble tracking shipments, like tracking down drivers and things like that. Talk about the origin of Tive and how you got into this.
Yeah, my background's in tech, so I had no idea about supply chain logistics. And if you ask, I'm assuming a lot of people that I've talked to, they just stumble into this business. I think they're like, "Whoa, I didn't know it's this big and this important." But I was in tech. I was working for a bunch of startups here in Massachusetts area, primarily designing chips for smartphones, 2G, 3G, 4G radios. I worked for an MIT startup where we built the world's most efficient base stations that go on cell towers. Did a lot of consulting around wireless and chipset design. So a lot of quite a geek when it comes to engineering and wireless. And I've always had a startup bug since I was a kid. I've never worked for a big company. All my life, I've always worked for startups. And when I got married, my wife's dad owned a trucking company until a month ago. And every time I would go to his house, he would be on the phone trying to figure out where his truck drivers are. We're trying to eat dinner, trying to have a nice glass of wine. And he would get up, call the driver. They wouldn't pick up, then try again. They wouldn't pick up. They try again. They would pick up. Did they load? Did they unload? Where were they? It was just time consuming and also quite like just a lot of interruptions. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? Why don't I make a GPS tracker and put it in your trucks? And that's how the whole thing started.
So did the drivers know the GPS tracker was going in there?
Yeah, they knew because
Okay.
I was talking to them and they were like, oh, that's fine. So they would watch me. I would install it on the CD radio because that had like a 12-volt output. I bought these converters from 12 to 5-volt on Amazon. I would go out there and install it myself. It was quite a thing. But
Yeah,
then
it's
he
come a
was
long,
able to
long
see
ways. Yeah.
it's come a long way. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, it's great. And your story about getting in transportation, I don't think anybody in transportation planned to be here. There might be a few supply chain majors out there, but I think everybody got into a family business or just, responded to a job application or whatever it might be. For me, I went to a recruiter for sales. I just happened to have a relationship with DAT out in Oregon. And that's how I
Oh,
got in the
wow.
industry, was getting connected with them. And then that was my entry into it. But once you get in here, it's hard to leave. It's such a great industry.
And then you were at Lean for quite a bit too, right?
I was at Lean. I was all over the place. We don't need to talk about my resume, Krenar. I was at a lot of places. I got a lot of experience. Let's just say that I got a lot of really good experience, which was awesome. But you had the background of the GPS tracking or satellite, that type of work, and so Tive really made sense because it was a problem that you saw, something that you understood, and you jumped
Yeah.
into it. But it's evolved quite a bit since then. Talk a little bit more about kind of how that road went for you. What you guys are doing today.
Yeah, so actually, as I was solving the problem for my father-in-law tracking his trucks, I realized some shippers were putting these temperature sensors on top of pallets. And I asked one of the truck drivers, how do they get the data out of these things? He said at the end of the shipment, somebody looks at it and gets the data. I'm like, that's insane. I'm like, why don't I take this thing from the front of the truck, put a battery in it, and put it on the back of the truck so that we can track the shipment regardless of the truck driver and regardless, so the shipper knows exactly what's happening with their shipments. And they can get temperature data in real time and all of that. So the evolution of that has gone, used to be, I don't know, the first tracker we built used to be $50, $60 a month, $250 to buy the tracker. Obviously, the cost of that has gone down quite a bit, and we've been trying to do that as much as we can so we can get more customers and more traction in the industry. But it's coming to a point where I would say a few years from now, it's going to be a no-brainer for everybody to put a tracker on their shipments.
So it's a
And that's
physical device that you put on there. Are you putting it on the truck, like the trailer, or are you putting it on like pallets or on specific SKUs, like products? How detailed does that get?
It can get quite detailed. It just depends on the customer, but most of the time, this is the tracker. It's pretty small, like it's this big. All you do is press the button, put it on back of the, usually on the last pallet or second to last pallet on top inside of a trailer,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you're getting real-time data from the pallet and
Oh,
exactly
nice.
where that shipment is. But usually it's one per trailer, one per container.
Is it a one-time use, or is it something that you can use over and over? Does the battery last a long time, or is it short use? What's that look like?
It does everything. That's the one thing I love about this product is it can be single use, it can be multi-use. The battery can last from days to weeks to months, depending on how you configure it. If you want to ping every 5 minutes, it lasts less. If you want to ping every 6 hours, 12 hours, it lasts for many months. And the tracker is also reusable. All you do is recharge it. So you can recharge it and get the data. It's pretty straightforward to use. Or you can use it as single use. But what we love to do is for sustainability is refurbish these trackers. So what we tell customers, we give them incentives to return these trackers back to us. And then we return them, we clean them, we make sure that they're back in full shape, full product, like just normal, like new. And then we use them again for customers. And that's worked out pretty well too.
Yeah, that's a great way to make sure you're not just throwing stuff away unnecessarily. And I
Correct.
love the fact that you're keeping track of temperature because it doesn't help at all to get the temperature after the load's been delivered. If the load's gone bad, it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter. You could use it for maybe to place blame, I guess, but they can't really fix the problem. But if you know in the middle of the trip, of the shipment, that the temperature is going up, I mean that allows you to stop and do something about it, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, we've saved millions of dollars if you could look at our customer base with them. I mean, when we see a shipment going to 40, 45 degrees, it's supposed to be at 34, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. We call the truck driver. We also have a monitoring team that watches these live. We call the truck driver, make sure that their setting is correct. If setting is not correct and somehow the reefer broke, then obviously they go and fix it. That's more rare, I would say. But at least the settings, I think either running the reefer continuous mode or you're doing it on a cycle, that makes a big difference sometimes for customers too.
Gives it to them in real time, which is great.
Yep.
So tracking the shipment, temperature on the shipment, any other data or metrics that you guys are looking at?
Yeah, the other ones that we look at quite a bit, humidity is another one that we have, but the two that we look at quite a bit are light and shock. So we have a light sensor here, and for customers that ship very high value shipments, we can tell exactly where the trailer gets open with using the light sensor, and that we've saved customers, again, millions of dollars on freight, whether it's very expensive TVs or very expensive meat or beef or very expensive vacuum cleaners. I can go on and on and on, types of products that we've saved customers with.
Have you done anything with RVs yet? You got these things in RVs across the country?
No RVs, not consumer brand yet. We're not selling to consumers yet.
Well, let me tell you, Krenar. So we used to have an RV and we have a dog, and we would take the dog with us, and we would go and park the RV, and then we as a family would either want to go to dinner, or we might want to go to the zoo or go to a museum or something like that, and we needed to keep track of the temperature and the humidity inside of the RV. And so we actually had a device that helped us do exactly what you're talking about. We don't need all the other stuff you're talking about, but those things were applicable. So who knows, might be a new market for you guys. You never know.
There we go. If you know someone wants to buy, let me know.
got to keep track of the humidity and the temperature for the dog. So it's pretty important. All right, I want to switch for a minute to talk about your entrepreneurial journey. So Tive started as obviously a one-person shop. You were just making these tracking sensors for your father-in-law's drivers for their trucks, and then at some point this became a business. Were you an entrepreneur before this? Is this your first crack at it? And what was that journey like to get started?
Yeah, this is my first time as a CEO and solo founder of a company. I think that's been completely a new learning experience, I would say. But as I mentioned before, I've always worked for startups. I've never worked for a bigger company. And I got the entrepreneurial bug, I would say, when I was maybe very young, like 15 or 14 years old. I had some friends that were older than me, and they always were playing around with computers, trying to build new software, build new programs. And the bug, when you get it, it's quite amazing, because you realize that you can actually, with programming back in the day, build something out of nothing. And building something out of nothing is something that it just drives me. and if you think of Tive in 2015, it didn't exist. And here we are, we built something pretty amazing. But as an
entrepreneur, that's impressive, man. First
yeah.
crack.
And I used to work for a TV station too back. I'm originally from Kosovo, and I worked for a TV station in the summer when I was also very young, 16 years old, and was doing all the 3D animations for them. But we built a TV station in a matter of months from nothing. And then it started live in the end of September. It's 2001 or 2000. I forget now. It's been a long time. But when we did that, also that was something that I saw, that we built something out of nothing. Like just a few months ago, there was nothing, and now we're streaming live a new TV station, and for the whole country, and hundreds of thousands and millions of people are watching something that we built from scratch. And that, I was like, I don't think I'm ever gonna work for a big company. Now we're building a big company, but it's pretty amazing.
It's your big company. It's a little different, right? It's your company. It's interesting when you look back on your life and you see those moments where you can see the hints of entrepreneurship, of liking to build something, creating something out of nothing. I think that is in the human spirit. I think we like to create something out of nothing. It's why we write music. It's why we write books. It's why we do all those types of things, is because there's something fulfilling about this. Didn't exist, and now it does exist. Talk about your team now, because you've grown the company up. I don't know how many employees you have yet, but it's a good sized team. Yeah, talk about your team real quick. What's your team size now?
We're 170 people.
Wow,
pretty big team.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty impressive. And so when you think about like leading a team of that many people, you grow into it. You don't start with that many people on your team, but you grow into it. What have been some of the lessons that you've learned along the way as the team has grown?
There's a lot of lessons as the team has grown, but one thing that, as an entrepreneur and a founder, I'm sure many people and many entrepreneurs resonate, is delegation and giving autonomy to leaders to do what they need to do. I think it's one of the biggest lessons that you learn as you grow a company. Because in the beginning, I was doing everything myself. And in the beginning, as an entrepreneur, you almost do everything on your own. And then you bring another person, another person. and you start delegating and getting more leverage out of, number one, yourself, but also for the company. And as the company grows, one day, I mean, now we have 600 customers. There's no way I can call 600 customers. There's no way I can keep track of them. So we have a team making sure that all the customers are happy and they're growing with us. But one day we're going to be 6,000. Another day we're going to be 10,000 customers. And to get there, I think that philosophy of growth is something that I've learned to embrace quite a bit, and also let go of some things. That way we can grow as a company. And I think that's a big lesson for an entrepreneur. I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs would resonate with what I'm saying.
Was it easy for you to delegate, to really let go of things? Did you find that very easy, or was it kind of difficult? Like, what was your process for that? Because when you are doing everything and you're in control of everything, you're in control of quality, you're in control of the timeline and all those types of things. Was it easy to give some of that up?
It becomes easy, and I think it's almost almost like there's no choice, right? It becomes to a point where if you want to control everything, obviously you're not going to grow. So it becomes a point of no choice. And I think that's one thing you embrace, and you go on and you grow and you build an amazing company.
Yeah, I love hearing about your journey, because I'm on the very front end of my journey. So it's always great to hear these things. But having somebody that you can give things to and trust them, and they do a good job, oftentimes better than you would have done on it. That's what I've found, is that in a lot of these
100%.
areas, I'm terrible at some of these things. So giving them away actually improves our company, and as opposed to maybe the fear that someone might have of losing control. So that's been a good part.
There are many, many people who do 10, 20, 30 times better job, 100 times better job than I would do in all the departments right now. So I'm very lucky and very grateful for every single employee that we have here at Tive. And to be honest, like, that's why I wake up every morning. It's for them. It's not, otherwise there would be no Tive. Without the people, there's no Tive.
You realize as a leader that you're really there just serving everybody else. I mean, you're there to support them, make sure they have what they need, so that, your company can grow, they can be successful and be fulfilled and all that. But yeah, you learn, and a lot of people think leadership is being the boss or being in charge, but a lot of times it's just about supporting and serving everybody else that is on your team. That's for sure. Did you learn that from somebody else along the way? Because first time CEO, to go from where you are to 160 team members, where did you learn that about leadership?
I would say a big place where I learned a ton about leadership, and it was the college that I went to. It was Norwich University, which is a private military college up in Vermont, and I was like surrounded by military. Every morning, obviously I was a civilian, and 70% of the students were in ROTC, or what I call Corps of Cadets, and half of them go actually in active duty and half of them go into civilian. But every morning they would wake up really early. Every morning, like, all the professors were dressed up in uniform, and leadership was something out of the blue. You're in a math class or in a physics class, or just the professor would start talking about something about leadership, and you just get there's a lot of leadership lessons there that I learned, and also learned quite a bit as while I was there. There was not much to do in Vermont, I'll be honest. So there was these two organizations. One was called IEEE, which is an engineering organization, pretty big one in the world, and the other one was called Tau Beta Pi, which is a engineering honor society, and I was president of both, and I ran both of them. I learned a lot about leadership there too. So just, I would say at Norwich, those 4 years grew me quite a bit as becoming a leader, and that at the end, it's all about serving and being there for the team and for the people. Otherwise, the days of telling people what they need to do or how to, like, those days are over. Those maybe in 1800s, but now we're in 2023. People want to work somewhere where there's real purpose, there's a real why, and we're making a difference in the world, and they want to wake up in the morning, try and do that every day, and not just because somebody told them to do something.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes from Steve Jobs is, we don't hire people and tell them what to do. We hire really smart people and have them tell us what to do. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. And being in Vermont, being surrounded by leadership, Vermont is beautiful. You have to admit, it is a beautiful 100%. State. Man, that's the scenery up there, the lakes, the trees. Did you go skiing while you're in Vermont? That's a big thing in Vermont.
I love skiing. Yes.
There you go. That's a pretty good thing to do in Vermont, which is good. Yeah. Okay, Krenar, we got to pause for a minute because we like to have a little bit of fun on the show. So we're going to have a little game time today. It is time for today's edition of This or That. All right, so Krenar, here's how it goes. We're just going to give you two options, and you have to tell us which one you prefer, this
All right.
or that. Really simple. We got 5 of these real quick. You don't have to give an explanation unless you really want to. Here we go. The first one is TV series or movies. Do you enjoy the series, the episodes, the episodic stuff, or the
movies?
Okay, very good. Favorite movie? You got a favorite? Hold on now. You got a favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Oh my God. There's a lot of great movies.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I like Shawshank Redemption. I like Godfather.
Yes,
I like. You know what I really like though? Toy Story 1.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Toy Story 1 is classic.
That was like the 3D animation first time it turned into Pixar.
That was Steve Jobs. That was also Steve Jobs to put it in the theme of that. So Toy Story is a good one. Shawshank. That's awesome. Okay, next one. This or that. Ninjas or pirates?
Ninjas.
Ninjas are, I feel like ninjas are more positive. Pirates
I think
so.
Like
a negative connotation. We're gonna go ninjas on that. Okay, next one. This or that. Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Really? See, I like waffles because it holds the syrup in each little cup. I know, it's like, yeah, I got to go waffles. You're pancakes. Okay, all right. Next one, this or that. Ice cream in a cone or in a cup? Which way do you go?
Cone all day. Cone, I was going to say cone all day.
Krenar, what kind of cone? Do you go with a plain cone, sugar cone, waffle cone?
Waffle.
Yeah, I agree with you. Coleman says waffle as well. Yeah, I got to go with that. Waffle cone, that's for sure. Okay, and the last one, this or that. I think we have one more. Ooh, Batman or Superman?
Batman. He seems more real. He seems more real, down to earth. Superman with kryptonite, and it's too much fantasy.
It's much more fantasy, but here's what I love. Superman can fly, and I want to fly. So I think I'd go Superman, but Batman is definitely a good one. That's for sure. All right. Well, there you go. That's this episode's this or that. That's a lot of fun. All right. Okay. Awesome. Lastly, we have our random question of the day. So sometimes, Krenar, we like to just throw up a random question. It's so random. I haven't seen this one yet. Like we let our podcast director put this
ChatGPT random question.
I don't know. It could be funny. It could be serious. It could be AI driven. I don't know. It could be a dud. It could be a great question. Let's see what it is. Today's random question of the day is, if you had to curate the soundtrack to your life, what songs will be on there? You got a couple of theme songs for your life?
Oh my God. I don't actually, I'll tell you, I love Metallica. So when I grew up, I listened to Metallica quite a bit. And Wherever I May Roam is a song that I really like. So I'll just leave it at that.
That's a good one. I like that. I've been on this kick lately. I've got 2 songs that I really like. They're more just like inspirational songs, but I like Hey Look Ma, I Made It from Panic at the Disco. And I like All I Do Is Win by DJ Khaled. So those are 2 of my favorites. May have to come up with something else as well, but those are 2 of my favorites. But yeah, that's a good question. Everybody should create their own playlist in life. That's yours is going to have a lot of Metallica on it. Love it. All right, that's a good question. That wasn't a bad question. Good random question of the day.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to your time in Vermont. I want to dig into this just a little bit as we finish today. What are some of the greatest lessons that you learned about leadership from the military? Like maybe some examples, some instances, maybe some moments where something really crystallized and you went, I'm going to do that the rest of my life.
That's a good question.
I know I'm putting you on the spot. I know, but
yeah,
just curious if there was a general that said something or a leader that just like.
There was so Tive, the Engineering Honor Society, you go through quite a bit of an interview process to become a president of it, and it's a pretty amazing society. It's only a few. You have to have amazing GPAs to get in there. It's like not everybody can get into the Honor Society, and it's a pretty big organization throughout the country. And one year we won the best chapter award out of 260 chapters. We were the best chapter out of Vermont because we did the most amount of projects, we did the most amount of work. It was pretty amazing as a leader to be part of that. But one thing I still remember there is when they asked me in an interview, I like, what do you want to do for the organization? I told them I want to be the president. And I think that's one thing as a leader, you want to, I would say, project what you want to be and what you want to become instead of waiting for others sometimes to see that. I think that's a lesson that I learned, that if you want to lead, just do it. Go lead and don't wait for others to tell you, hey, why don't you become the leader and why don't you lead? Just show leadership and become the leader you want to become.
Did you become the president? Did you become the president? Oh, nice. Okay, keep going.
And the other lesson that I learned from another Norwich graduate, I was working for his company, Bitwave Semiconductor. And one time I was first time design engineer one, like just my first internship there. pretty low on the totem pole as far as what my responsibilities were. But I learned, we were designing these chips, and for some reason it was never on time. It would be like a few months late or things of that nature. So I said, you know what, why don't I go and talk to all the designers and figure out where they are and build a project plan so we can figure out what time we're on and whether we're going to make it or not. And I told this guy, his name's Jeff, and I'm like, Jeff, why don't I go and do that? He's like, why don't you go do it? I said, because I'm not the leader, or I'm just a design engineer. He's like, just go do it. Nobody's asking you to be the leader or to like, just go ahead and do it. So then I went and started talking to designers. I built a whole project plan, and we were off by maybe 2 weeks, which was pretty amazing lesson too, that I learned that sometimes just do it. Don't wait.
Take the initiative, go get something done.
Yeah.
Just get into it. I love that. And I love the fact that you also talked about vision, like casting it out there, what you want to be. Like you said, I want to be a president. You became the president. I think a lot of companies struggles from a real clear lack of vision. When you think of vision for Tive, how do you establish it? How do you really make that a part of the culture of the company?
I'm not going to say the vision words verbatim because I don't think that's, but the vision of Tive is pretty straightforward, because vision is something that you should potentially never, ever achieve. But the way I think of it as, imagine that one day everything in the world is connected. And whether it's a shipment, whether it's assets that are moving shipments, once everything is connected, you're going to have complete transparency of what's happening with the supply chain. And through that connectivity and through that transparency, we can make the world a better place and more efficient than it is. And I believe that that's the vision that we live up for every day, and I wake up for every day, because I know one day that's going to happen. Maybe not in my lifetime, maybe 200 years from now, maybe it will, right? But we're going to strive for it. We're going to do our best to make sure that we get there faster than anyone else.
Yeah, that's great. And there aren't too many better words in life than imagine. When you say imagine and get people thinking about what's possible, I love that. Again, just to go back to Steve Jobs real quick, he said that your world will change the day you realize that everything that's built around you was created by people no smarter than you. Like that you can actually go and just build these things and do these things. So I'm sure you're probably a lot farther along down the road than than you ever thought when you first started. And you guys have a long ways to go. But congratulations on all your success, Krenar. Thanks for being on the show and telling your story. We really appreciate hearing from you about what you've been doing. What's the best way that people can get in touch with you and with Tive?
Krenar at Tive.com. They can go to Tive.com, contact us. It's pretty straightforward.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on the show. Again, we got that coffee mug coming your way real soon. And there, my dog's about to go crazy. So we're going to end it with that.
Right
again,
on time.
Thanks so much for being on the show today. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Trey.
All right, everybody else, hey, make sure you come back on Thursday. We got another great show with one of my mentors in life. His name is Ed Cunliffe, and he's going to be on the show. Again, a shout out to our sponsor over at SPI Logistics. And until next time, we will see you guys later. Take care, everybody. Peace out.